Hello, everybody. Welcome to Profiling Evil by Mike King. I ended up with kind of a late lunch today, so I thought I'd take a minute and just jump on and share a couple of thoughts that I had. One is to remind you to be to choir practice tonight at 6 o'clock. We're going to be talking with Annie Elise from 10 to Life about the Suzanne Morphew case. We're going to start off and spend some time talking about this case, and then I've invited John Lorden from Lorden Arts. You all know both of these YouTube creators. He's going to come on, and we're going to introduce a new case, another mother who has had a heart broken over Mother's Day. In fact, 3 mothers. So make sure you don't miss those. But today, or right now, I wanted to talk to you about a letter that Lauren Scharf read yesterday on from Fox 21 from Suzanne's brother, David Moorman. Now, hats off to Lauren. She has maintained a very special relationship with the Moorman family from the beginning of this case a year ago. She is really to be commended for the way in which she has continued to bird dog this case and keep in touch with the family. It's clear that they trust her. She's maintained a special relationship built on trust, I believe, evident by David's letter that we're going to have her read, and also Melinda's phone conversation that you caught on the news the other day when Barry was arrested. I hope you're looking at her tweets and her YouTube posts and you're subscribing so that you're getting those. And, you can always catch her on Profiling Evil from time to time. I want to start off by playing some of that video, and then I want to provide just a little personal commentary. So this is David's letter as read by Lauren Scharf from Fox 21.
I have been given permission to share a personal message from Suzanne's oldest brother, David Moorman, on this Mother's Day. He said, quote, "The past year since Suzanne's disappearance has been trying, but as my sister Melinda said, Sheriff John Speasy is a man of his word, and along with the tireless efforts of all of the law enforcement agencies involved, they have cleared a key hurdle in unwinding the mystery of this tragedy. I want to thank all involved along with the citizens of Chaffee County."
So I want to just stop there for a moment and talk about a couple things. David starts off by expressing how difficult the past year has been for the entire family, reiterating Sister Melinda's note that she gave in that audio interview that we heard of her gratitude to Sheriff John Speasy. I'm really grateful that the Moorman family called out the work of law enforcement, who, in my opinion, have taken some real unnecessary hits over the last year. Now, this key hurdle that David's speaking about really is about getting enough evidence, probable cause, to convince the court that Barry Morphew murdered his wife, Suzanne. Probable cause causes the court to move, and frankly, each of us to move beyond this mere suspicion that something happened, that thing in our gut that kept saying something was wrong. In other words, it gives the district attorney the responsibility to convince the court that enough objective circumstances exist for the court to believe that a crime was committed. Now, we're going to continue on with David's letter, but the Mormons say from the get-go that they suspected foul play. In fact, David's letter gives us a peek into the concerns that they had with the reporting of these narcissistic tendencies in Barry and Suzanne's relationships. Questions of domestic violence and control surfaced from the get-go. But again, I got to remind you, these ghost stories don't equate to probable cause. Law enforcement and the DA needed to come up with something more, which obviously they did. Now let's continue to listen here.
For their work, support, and caring demonstrated during the last year. While my silence has been interpreted as not caring within hours of being told of Suzanne's disappearance, nothing seemed to add up. My suspicion of foul play quickly grew, especially knowing my brother-in-law's personality. I committed myself to letting the authorities do their job, staying out of the way, and waiting for a result I knew would take time, patience, and a lot of hard work. In a time when law enforcement is under attack.
Now, one thing that I want to do again is acknowledge this family for taking time to call out law enforcement. From the very beginning, I expressed my faith in the investigative process and the determination of the cops that were involved. Now, David, in my opinion, rightly states that this is just the beginning of what could be a really long, drawn out, and I think quite bluntly, folks, a really painful public and courtroom battle. Sadly, these public court hearings put families at risk of having all of the dirty laundry aired. It really could get ugly from time to time as we hear some of the things that are happening. And the Moorman family is preparing themselves for these difficult months ahead, as they talk about here.
We, the Moorman family, feel blessed to have such dedicated and professional group working on Suzanne's case. While the arrest is good news, it is only one of many steps that will be required to bring Suzanne justice and our family and her many friends peace and closure. Suzanne is never far from our minds, as her gentle nature, smile, and unforgettable belly laugh are very much missed. As my sister Melinda said, she was our rose among thorns. In the coming months, we will be forced to come to grips with the details of a murder that is still unimaginable. I am constantly hounded by the question, how did we get here? How does a man take the life of his wife and the mother of his daughters? How do character flaws turn you into a murderer? Is it nature or nurture? Nothing.
I want to stop there for a second, because as he's acknowledging these difficult months that lie ahead, and I'll tell you, having worked with families as they go through this, it is gut-wrenching, and our cumulative prayers are really needed for this family as they move into this. But David talks about Barry's character, and he leaves this question of nature or nurture, and he says that will come out in the courtroom. I've spoken about this concept of nature versus nurture many times on the channel before. You can go back and see some of those, but Barry's defense team will undoubtedly try to paint a picture for the judge, the jury, if he requests one. Heck, I guess even for all of us who will be listening in, that he's merely a product of his environment, a victim of sorts, if you can believe it. That he only acted the way he did because of his upbringing and his life stresses. This is that argument of nature versus nurture. And an easy way to look at it is, let's look at nurture, for instance. The nurture argument could be said this way. An offender who's mean and violent blames his behavior on the fact that he didn't get warm cookies and milk each day after school while he was growing up. He didn't get enough gold stars put on his forehead. People didn't tell him how wonderful he was. That's the argument of I do things because of nurture. Now, nature, on the other hand, are that I'm not responsible for my actions, that I do things because it's genetic, or that I'm just engineered this way. Some might say, I am Irish, thus I drink and fight. Well, what a cop-out for responsibility. Well, what really jumped out to me was David's wisdom. It's clearly in line with life experience, his education, and of course his age. He continues to express hope that a confession and revelation about Suzanne's whereabouts might come forward. Let's just jump ahead here for a second to something else I wanted to cover. This is the Moorman family talking about Gene's dying moments.
Gene lay dying of cancer. There were many moments he was brought to tears thinking about his granddaughters, Mallory and Macy. In one of our final conversations on the matter, I pledged to him that 3 of us, Melinda, Andrew, and myself, would help them bridge this horrific event and do whatever we could to help them develop into the woman Suzanne envisioned.
Isn't that like a beautiful comment to hear, that they will develop these girls into the women that Suzanne had envisioned. Yeah, David speaks about his father's dying moments, and we were so honored to be able to spend some time with Gene on Profiling Evil. Go back and watch that video if you haven't seen it. But here the family comes together and is promising those girls, Mallory and Macy, that if they want the relationship, the family will become that support group for them and help them. They promised that they, as siblings, would stand ready to help Suzanne's daughters bridge this event and become the women that Suzanne had envisioned. Now, David concludes his letter in, I think, a very nice tribute to D.A. Stanley. And gosh, again, how grateful we've been to have the district attorney on our show to talk about circumstantial cases and to share her story. Let's listen into this this wish from the family.
Their support. I also want to wish Godspeed to Linda Stanley and the prosecuting team as they prepare for the trial. I would ask one final thing. If you are so moved, please make a generous contribution to your local shelter or program for domestic abuse, because no one, regardless of status or money, is immune.
Now that's signed by David Moorman in behalf, I'm sure, of the family. And I want to just say something about that. You can learn more about domestic violence homicide by listening to the live stream we did with Dr. Jane Monckton Smith in the UK. It's titled 8 Stages of Domestic Violence Homicide. It's incredibly powerful. I hope you'll go and listen to it. We'll put the links down below. And you make sure you'll want to listen also to Dr. Ramani Derversala talk about the narcissistic personality and the personality traits. Her video was incredible. And again, what a great opportunity to have her on the show. And then, of course, Dr. Judy Ho, who has been on a number of times as we've talked about these dynamics surrounding this case in particular and these narcissistic and domestic violence situations. This is real stuff, folks. And if you are a victim of or know someone who is a victim of domestic violence, please get them to their local police department for help, or reach out to their mental health or medical provider. There is a cadre of people who are out there ready to help. Now, tonight at 6 o'clock, again, choir practice, we're going to talk about this case in a little more detail. I'll have Annie Elise from 10 to Life on with me as we explore more about the Morphew case and how you, the true crime community, are making such a big difference in these kinds of cases. And then I'm going to bring on John Lorden of Lorden Arts, another big-time YouTuber who you might have seen just recently on Netflix on the Cecil Hotel. John's going to come on, and we're going to introduce a new case to you, one that we've been working on here at Profiling Evil. And you're going to meet 3 moms who have, you're going to meet 2 moms of the 3 who have had some pretty sad Mother's Days as a result of violence in the homes. And we're going to talk about that case tonight. It's the beginning of Police Week, and this is a time for us to think about all of the police officers who die in the line of duty. And the numbers, sadly, this year are up 9% over last year already. We're seeing police officers who are being ambushed on a regular basis. But this is Police Week, and we're going to talk about that a little bit too. So make sure you join me for these amazing guests tonight at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 o'clock Eastern. Now, here's your assignment as we wrap up. What are your thoughts about Barry Morphew and this idea of nature or nurture? I'm going to look forward to seeing your thoughts down below. And thank you all. I'm going to take just a minute and look at some comments and just shout out to our mods. Thank you so much for jumping on and filling in today and taking care of things. Miss Sophia, I saw you earlier. Lisa Marie, thank you. Rachel Sean, great to see you. Moonlight View. Mom's Jeans and Crime Scenes is here. Cindy K. And again, I don't have my glasses on and I don't have the back office, but I'll look and see if there are some quick questions that I can answer. There is a lot of stuff coming down as we wait for this week, the release. I believe it will happen. The release of the arrest affidavit. We're going to see some things that have been kind of bugging me for a while that I think are actually true and going to come out in that affidavit. And so I hope that some thoughts that I've had in the past will be accurate as we see what that affidavit explores and makes public. Thanks to all of you who support us through channel memberships, Patreon, Venmo, PayPal. It really helps us move the dial and try to bring out quality videos for you. And again, don't forget to join us at 6 o'clock tonight as we start off with choir practice. It is going to be a really interesting show tonight. Now, I don't have Starsky coming on, but I got some amazing guests, so make sure that you're there. And again, thanks, and we'll see you soon.